Welcome to Saddle Up Live, a transformative podcast tailored for women aged 40 and beyond, where courage, God's grace, and a touch of sass are the driving forces behind conquering life's challenges. Join me, Lesa Koski, as I take you on a captivating ride through the multifaceted aspects of womanhood in this vibrant stage of life. We are covering everything from my journey through breast cancer, the intricacies of marriage, and the joys of motherhood, to the exciting adventures of grandparenting. In each episode, we saddle up for candid conversations about God, health, relationships, family dynamics, and the beautiful chaos that comes along the way. But here's the twist. Saddle Up Live goes beyond navigating the highs and lows of life. It's a platform dedicated to sharing what we have learned along the way. I want to help women thrive through it all. Together, we'll uncover actionable strategies for personal and professional development, providing you with the tools and inspiration needed to blaze new trails and seize every opportunity that comes your way. Moreover, we are committed to helping you suffer less and live more fully. Through our discussions on God, health, wellness, and mindfulness, we explore practical techniques for managing stress, cultivating resilience, and embracing a holistic approach to self-care. So whether you're looking for practical advice, heartfelt stories, or simply a supportive community of like-minded women, saddle up and join us on this exhilarating ride. Because at Saddle Up Live, we believe every woman deserves to thrive, flourish, and live her best life, no matter her age or stage. Welcome, listeners. I am so thrilled to have everyone here today, and I'm especially feeling blessed that I have Sharon Pope with me. Sharon was on Doing Divorce Different before I knew I was going to do all this crazy stuff with Saddle Up Live, talking about relationships. And she is an author, a coach. She's all over social media. I told Sharon before, my husband saw you on TikTok and said, you got to have this lady on your podcast. So I love that. And I'm so excited that today we're going to talk about marriage, because I've spent so much time talking about divorce. And Sharon, I want you to know, you're kind of my first for real guest, because I have had a coach on, but it was before I knew I was taking this Saddle Up Live, to a new level and doing its own podcast. And before I knew that I had a cancer diagnosis, which there's going to be an episode that I'm dropping before this one airs. So go back and listen to it. That gives you all the information about how my life changed. But this is what I need you to know is early detection. It didn't spread. I've already had surgery. My surgeon did an amazing, I'm so blessed. I had it on the 5th, Friday, the 5th of this month, and didn't go to my lymph nodes, was smaller than they thought, all like amazing good stuff. So get your darn mammograms every year, because that saved me. I have the most amazing outcome. That doesn't mean I haven't gone through scary, and I still have stuff to come because of the type that what's feeding it. They know how to get it so it never comes back. So it's gone. I don't have it right now, but I have to do chemo. So I'm going to be doing these while I'm going through that. And fortunately, because my pathology was so good, I won't be on like the tiger killer chemo. I'll be on a little bit lower. They're like, hey, we think you'll even keep your hair. So I'm planning on doing these through it. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's a step that I need to do. So I know how people are going through cancer and hard things from the perspective that I have a really good outcome and it was caught early and it didn't spread anywhere. I don't know the other side of it, but that's kind of where my life is leading me. It's funny, the Saddle Up Live came to me because I wanted, and you were part of that, because I didn't really want to talk about divorce. I wanted to talk about being a grandma and wellness and building a business. And then I'm like, oh, and here's another one. I can talk about this. So I can share my journey. And I think part of that, I'm going to, in my YouTube channel that's coming out, I'll be talking about what not to say to someone who's has
Mm.
a new diagnosis.
Oh, good for you.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I can say that
Yeah.
I'm still kind of muddling along with I don't know if I have a lot of handy advice because I don't know that I've handled this really well, but as time goes on, I can help people with that, but I
Yeah.
feel extremely blessed, for all those reasons and, blessed that you're here. So now if we can kinda get in so I just wanna read this off of your website. Sharon helps strong and successful women struggling in lonely and disconnected marriages get the confidence and clarity they need to either fix their marriage or move forward without regret. So, listeners, if you need help making that decision, go to Sharon's website. She's got tools to help you, she's got books to help you. But today, I told Sharon I want to talk about three things.
Mhm.
I want to talk about, and I learned this through a kid that I was kind of, I learned how to just love her and not try to change her, and how that like was amazing and fixed our relationship. And I would started thinking, well, maybe we could do that with our hubbies too. So I want to
Hmm.
talk about just loving someone and how that can sometimes fix things. I also want to talk about something because it's really interesting how this has affected my marriage, what going through something hard, and how I realize how we're often not honest with ourselves about how we're feeling or with our spouse. And sometimes, if you could just break down and be vulnerable,
Yeah.
they would get it and see it and be able to respond. So, I want to talk about that.
Yep.
Then the third thing I want to talk about is how something hard like a cancer diagnosis or some health issue, how that can affect your marriage in a weird way. Like you
Mhm.
just assume, oh, it's going to be like you're going to be together and it's going to be rainbows and butterflies. But I haven't found that to be true. So
No,
those are the three things I want to talk about. So welcome, Sharon.
I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to this. You've certainly been through a lot since last time we spoke,
Yeah,
and that wasn't that long ago.
I know. It has been a lot. And I don't want to waste what I've learned. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm sitting here with you.
Awesome. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So the first thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. I told you I had a kiddo and I was
Mhm.
trying to fix her and change her and someone said all you got to do is love her,
That's it.
and it changed our lives
Mhm.
for the better because that was
Yeah.
all she needed. That's all we need, right?
Right.
So then I thought, well, maybe I should do that with my husband, and we
Mm.
kind of have been. I've never like I've been dropping love bomb texts on him.
I love that.
I know. So let's talk about and sometimes it's hard. I mean,
Yeah.
if I feel like he's being mean or nasty, whew, that's hard to love him.
Yes. Yes. I think you bring up a really interesting topic, which is, why are we so generous in loving our kids and and we pull back on a lot of that generosity when it comes to our spouse.
Why?
So we know we have it in us to
Yeah,
love, but for some reason that makes sense in our minds that we should love them and we shouldn't try to change them and we shouldn't um always be criticizing them. Like, we get all that as a
yeah.
parent or as a grandparent. Like, we get
Mhm,
all that, and
mhm.
we make sense of that. But when it comes to our spouses, it's like, nope, that's completely different. We're not going to love. We're going to focus more on being loved.
Yes.
We're focused on
Amen.
them pointing their love at us in the way we want to experience their love. And we get sort of like bothered by, like, yeah, but I'm not going to talk about, like, am I loving? Am I
Yeah,
actively loving them? And am I actively not criticizing them? Am I focusing on what I really genuinely value and appreciate? Or am I focusing on this shit that drives me crazy?
right.
There's that in everybody, by the way. There are things that will drive you crazy in every single
Yes.
person. There's no person on the planet that's not going to rub you at some point.
Yeah.
I used to say, well, and I'll say it now in the context of I'm thinking of one of my, so I have two grandbabies, a third one on the way.
Me
And I
too. Exactly the same. Yeah.
And I have 3 great nieces who call me "Yeah, yeah," who I treat like
Oh,
grandchildren because their mother was the closest thing, she's my niece, and,
yeah.
she's the closest thing I ever had to, a child because I never had children myself.
Mhm.
So, one of her daughters, her first one, who's now going to be 4, like, so they're all young. And I mean, she is so freaking easy to love.
Yeah.
She is not even 4 yet. She's potty trained, she counts to 100. She loves Paw Patrol. She, is feisty and strong-willed as the first child can be, and
Mhm.
she's funny and clever and just a joy, and I'm like, "Why can't everyone just be that easy to love?"
Yeah,
It would
amen.
it would make it so much easier if everyone was that easy, but they're
Yep.
not, right? And
No.
so, isn't that when we're called to really step up and be the one who loves, even when people are difficult to love, like, even when a child is throwing a temper tantrum, like, sometimes they're difficult to
Mhm.
love in that moment, but we
Yep.
still do it, so we know we can.
And that's such a great point, and it's so amazing, and you think about your grandchildren
Mm.
especially, I think. My kids are really easy to love. My grandchildren, are you kidding me? You can
You're no wrong.
scream your lungs out, and I think you're the my grandson had a little bit of a issue at a store, and he was screaming, and then I think he was picking his nose, he's 3, and I'm like, "You know what, Ollie? I still love you, and I think you're great." I'm in the middle of a store, and he's
Yes.
just screaming like, "I don't care, go ahead."
Yeah.
You're the
Yes,
best.
grandparents were like, "You can do no wrong in my eyes.
But
There's nothing. You're
and
perfect."
Sharon, I can't help but thinking because through this journey, I have read the Bible a ton. I have
Mm.
prayed a ton. And I just like when I can't help it, when I think of how Jesus loves, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, "Ugh, that's what I want." Like,
Mhm.
and what a gift. Like my grandson, I mean, I think he loves me, but I don't even care. I just love him. And how good that feels. To
Yes.
just love. That's almost more rewarding than being loved. Even though we think we wanna be loved all the time, the loving is what's so amazing.
That you just, like, I think you just hit the nail on the head. If we will do it, if we will love someone sort of unconditionally like we do
Yep.
children, like grandbabies, we
Yes.
will love them that unconditionally, and if you do it from a selfish place of it feels good to do it.
Yeah.
Because loving will always feel better than hating. Loving will always feel better
Yes.
than judging or criticizing. And so we've gotta get more like, maybe that's the motivator of if we
Mhm.
can get more focused on, "I wanna feel as good as I can feel as I move through this short journey called life."
Yep.
And if I just choose to love people, I will feel better a higher percentage of the time. But if I'm looking around for what's wrong with them and why they don't deserve my love, or criticizing or judging or any of that, like, then you're gonna spend a lot more of your time in a more negative emotional place.
Mhm. Mhm. And, it's so interesting because as I talk to you, I mean, I'm not a young woman. This is so
Me
freaking
either,
easy.
sister.
This is easy. Like, why would I have not thought I mean, like, it's not it takes practice when you start doing it, but it is easy. It's
Mhm.
simple. It's so darn
Yeah,
simple, and
yeah,
it's so listeners, it's one thing you're in control of that you can do right now to make your life better, to make your relationship better. Just love people, and I, like, mean it for
yeah.
everyone. For,
Choose to
like
love them.
yeah.
Yep, yep, it's not your job to do anything otherwise. It's not
No.
your job to judge them. It's not your
Yep.
job to fix them.
Yep.
It's just your job to love them,
Yep.
and it's not that hard, and actually, it's an interesting thing, like, I could go real deep here, but we can go there for a second, which
Yeah,
is
go there
like,
for a second.
you know, as mothers and grandmothers and parents and all that, right? We can love children unconditionally, and then children grow to know that there's someone on this planet that will love them unconditionally, that will tell them that they're perfect no matter if they're
Yep.
screaming, carrying on, and that will anticipate their needs and make their life better. Like when children have problems, we try to fix the problems for
Mhm.
them. We try to smooth out the rough edges of their lives so that they can have a good life. And that's what creates this romantic idea of how love should be, is
Yeah.
that my partner is going to anticipate my needs.
Right.
They're gonna think I'm perfect no matter what I do, even when I'm being really difficult to love, which of course I will be. Just ask my
Right.
husband. Um, that they will make they'll smooth out those rough edges. Like, when you're talking about, like, getting a cancer diagnosis, I bet that there were days when you're like, you're looking to him, you're not saying those words, but you're like, "Just make it better."
Yeah.
And, like, you might be, like, getting short-tempered with him or something where, because 'cause you're looking to him like, "Why can't you just make this better? Why can't you make this go away? Why can't you fix this? Why what?"
Well, and Sharon, let's just jump. We're gonna skip that middle one for right now, and let's jump to that cancer thing because interestingly enough, this is what kind of made it hard. Well, we were going through kind of something sticky anyway, unrelated.
Mhm.
And then
It's
I
all right.
felt like, yeah, I felt like, I mean, what the hell? Like, I don't have like people send you, we're on your team. We've got you. I'm not like, and some people might need that. I'm like, you're not freaking on my team. This is me and this. I mean, that's kind of how I was. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not really, this is something I'm facing alone, no matter
Yeah.
how much you want to support me and help me. And I think that I honestly told my husband that, and I think he felt so lost because he
Yes.
didn't know what to do. Because I'm like, I mean, yeah, you can say what you want, but this is my thing.
Yes. Well, and think about that from I love it when that happens. Think about that from a male perspective too, like, because the men's role oftentimes what they view and what they've been brought up to view is that they are the fixer, they're the problem
Mhm.
solver. They're the provider and the protector. So if I can't protect her from this, and I can't
Right.
help her, and I can't solve this problem, then she really is in this alone. And so what the heck is my role? And now I
Right.
feel hopeless, and I feel maybe hopeless, maybe a little, not useful,
Yeah. Well,
not
and it
knowing how to help.
Yeah, and it was interesting too because so there are people who have had even a little bit. I mean, I have such a good diagnosis. I have such a good prognosis
Mhm.
from the beginning because it was detected early. And
Yeah.
I would talk to people and they were like, "Oh, I feel like I'm blessed. I'm a lucky one." And they had bigger tumors than me, but
Yes.
because it was one that they could deal with. And
Mhm.
they're like, "Yeah, I never broke down." I'm like, "I was like in a ball. I am not good at this. I mean, I get nervous when you take my blood pressure."
You're
So
not
I
good at
was
cancer, you're not good at having
no, I'm
cancer.
not. I'm not good at health stuff. That's why I think I'm such a health nut.
Mm.
No, I like get scared to get my blood pressure taken.
Mhm.
And I have a daughter that's a doctor. So she
Oh,
was like, "Oh god, mom, like help me. Like, can you give me some information?" No.
no.
It's just so crazy. But so my husband was a little bit like, "That's all gonna be fine. I mean, we gotta do some
Yeah,
stuff. But it's all gonna," which is true. And yet I was like still scared because that's who I am and that's
of
my
course.
stuff. So
Yep.
then I would kind of be like, and it's funny, Sharon, because no one can do anything right. Then I saw my best friend. We had to go to the bra store, and I didn't know then if I was going to keep my nipple or not.
Yeah,
I mean, and
yeah.
so we're there, and my best friend walks up to me and starts bawling, and I'm like, "Well, frickin' a, I'm not dying. Like, don't cry." It's like, I don't know what I wanted. Don't feel sorry for me,
Yep.
and don't not feel.
Lisa, this is so interesting that you bring this up because so the there's a friend of mine who was at my house Monday of this week,
Mhm.
and her husband is going through he's in his he's more than halfway through his chemo treatment. He has thyroid cancer.
Okay.
Um, and she said, he hurt my feelings. And I said, "Well, what happened?" And she said, um, "Well, yesterday, I was trying to tell him you should do this and you should eat that, or you should, she was trying to tell him you should do these
Yeah.
things to make yourself feel better." And he said, "Don't tell me what to do. You're not my mother." And she was like, she was kind of taken aback by
Yeah.
that. And so then she sort of overlooked it because, like, okay, he's
Right.
going through a lot. And then today, or that day that she was here, she said, and then he just texted me and said, "By the way, I'm doing okay today, in case you wondered," because she was like, "Well, let me just give him some space. Let me not tell him what to do." And then he's like, "Well, I'm okay, in case you're wondering, since you didn't
Yes,
check on me."
exactly. It's
And
like,
you can't get it right. Like, there's
no.
no I'm trying to navigate this very narrow
Yeah,
lane. And I
yeah.
thought, and she did say, she goes, "I didn't say anything because I know he is in the thick of it right now." She goes, "But I wrote that down in my journal and we're going to have a conversation about that, because the only time you're able to talk to me like that is when you have cancer and you're
Yeah,
going through chemo."
right.
So, I yeah, I feel like there is that element of people don't really know what to do, and
No.
then sometimes it can feel like they can't do anything right.
Right.
So, I genuinely if I could because I was thinking about this a little bit before we got on the call today, and I was thinking, one of the things that I tell ladies to do my clients are mostly ladies. I call 'em my ladies. Um, one of the things that I tell them to do is that you should always have, like I call it the state of the union, kind of regular, consistent conversation. And I like starting that, like what I teach in my program is there's a daily, a weekly, and a monthly, and there's a very sort of pragmatic approach to each of them.
Mhm.
But at least if you do one weekly, 30 minutes of
Mhm.
you and your partner coming together and say, "You know what? Where did you and I crush it last week?
Right.
Where did each of us win last week?
Mhm.
Where could we as a couple, like where did we get a little uncomfortable?
Mhm.
And where could we do better?" And when you just have some forum to be able to talk about
Yes.
that, then you don't have to overlook things like this friend of mine did, like, oh, she can't say anything because he's going through it. She doesn't wanna have, like, a "we need to talk" conversation, and now I need to tell you how you need to speak nicer to
Right.
me. She doesn't have to do all that. It's like, you know what? Like my husband and I, we do it on Sundays. So, Sundays, that's the forum. So, if something happens on Tuesday, I have now a parking lot, a place where,
Yeah.
when you did that or when you said that, it made me feel blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I get to Sunday and I'm like, "Yeah, that wasn't even really a thing. I was just in my feelings and"
Right.
and it's not a thing now, and I don't even
Right.
have to bring it up.
Okay, so I love that you're bringing this up, Sharon, because it brings us to that middle piece that I
Mhm.
wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Totally just walked right into that
You're
because
welcome.
yeah, thank you. Because I was thinking about this before, like, why is it that we put that wall up and don't share what we really feel? And so I think what my husband and I are learning is, or like even with my good friend, I think I did say, "Oh my gosh, don't feel sorry for me. Like, look at all
Mhm.
these you know what I mean? Like saying how I feel. And here's the
Yes.
thing, when you're going through something hard, how I feel that moment might change. All right, well, feel sorry for me. I mean, I know I have a really good future, but damn it, I don't want to do this,
Yeah. It's
And
like,
so
it
maybe,
changes.
yeah, just say what you feel. And it's hard because you're judging it and I don't know why we will not be vulnerable to be real because that's what saves you.
I can tell you,
Well, good, because I don't know.
it's the ego. It's our ego.
Is it the ego?
It's the ego. Like, the ego wants to protect us, and
Yes.
so vulnerability feels very vulnerable. It
Mhm.
feels, it doesn't feel protected. It doesn't feel safe. It feels like sort of like opening your kimono, standing on a table naked. Like,
Yeah,
so it doesn't feel safe, and the ego wants to feel safe, and so it's going to tell half truths.
and it messes everything up.
It messes everything up. It
Like,
really does.
honest to God, like, if your friend's husband could have been like, "You saying that this is how it made me feel. Like, I
Mhm.
feel like I'm going through something hard, and I appreciate that you wanna help me,
Yeah,
but this is hard, and I don't wanna be told that right now."
right. Or, "This is hard," or, "I'm scared to death right now,
Right.
and I don't know how this is gonna turn out, and I'm afraid how it's gonna affect your life,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to be more loving, but right now, I'm mad as hell that this has happened to me. Like, what if he said that?"
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I get that I'm taking it out on you. You know how so I talk to parenting coaches once in a while, and
Mhm.
they always say that you're the child's safe space to be their worst selves because they know that you
Yes.
always love them. And I think if we looked at some of these moments as those same through that same kind of lens,
Mhm.
we're back to loving people like we love children because
Yes.
we love our best
Yes.
when we love children. Um, but if we're able what was I talking about? Oh, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, no, that's okay. So you
When we uh, shoot.
That's all right,
We'll
honey.
come back to it. But
Well, no.
if we're
So you're
talking about
talking
the
yeah,
ego.
you were talking about, if we could give them a safe place.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So the
Yeah.
safe place. So when we bring our ugly to the relationship, which inevitably we will, then what if we looked at that as, well, that's because I'm his safe place or I'm her safe place.
Yes.
That they know, he or she knows that they can say something crappy to me because they're in a bad place,
Mhm.
and I'm still gonna love them.
Yep.
And so I can use that as she's never gonna look at that scenario as like, "Oh, that was a compliment." But she could see it through a softer lens of, "He's saying that to me because he would never say it to our daughter.
Right.
He would never say it to the
And
doctor.
that's
He
kinda
would
using
never."
that empathy skill too,
Yeah,
you
yeah. It's
know?
like you get to choose how you frame it and how you think about it. Because
Mhm.
when you're sick, you're not at your best. To
Right.
expect someone to be at their best when they're sick and or when they're in a great deal of fear. And
Mhm.
that's the thing that I think that doesn't get expressed enough because the ego will stop us from doing it, is just saying, "I'm scared right now, and
Mhm.
I need to be held." Or and then 30 minutes later, "Get away from me. I'm fine. Stop doting on me." Like,
Right.
but you're right, if we would just say what's true, say what's real, speak from the heart, it
Yep.
would sort of get rid of the
Yeah.
clutter
Yeah.
and break through some things, you know?
And maybe save your marriage,
Mhm, mhm,
which I would love.
mhm,
I like keeping people together as much
mhm.
as I can.
You know, the other reason why we don't say what's real and what's true is because we're trying to spare someone else's feelings,
Yes. And,
right?
that's interesting. I think I'm kind of past that,
Mm,
you
yeah,
know? I think I am, which is interesting. And I think it's been really healing because and like I said, I don't have the dire consequences, but it's still hard.
yeah,
And I think I would maybe and you talked about how we're a safe place for our kids, how we wanna make their lives better. But what I've maybe done too much of that, where I wanted to fix everything for my
yeah,
children in their lives, and I've had the most honest, raw conversations with my children, real conversations, and just being like, "I can't take this away.
yeah,
This is here. I've gotta deal with I mean, it's gone now, but I gotta deal with keeping it away, gotta
yeah,
deal with the treatment, um, and the fact that it happened, you
yeah,
know?
yes,
Um, and it's given me the opportunity to let them deal with it.
mhm. That you can't fix this for them, then that they're
Mm-mm.
gonna have to deal with it.
Yep.
It's actually one of the reasons why I tell parents, not like I'm a parenting coach, like I've never had my own children, and I'm no expert in this
Mhm.
area, but I do know human psychology and human behavior, and I just always think, no one gets out of life unscathed. Life is gonna
Right.
life. Life is gonna throw stuff at us, and as parents, aren't we supposed to prepare our children to
Yes.
be a adults? But if we're always taking care of everything for them, like, how do they learn that they're actually equipped? They can come through real
Yes.
difficult things and that they've got it. But if I'm always doing it for them, it's sort of
Right.
that, then it's like what they learn is that mom can do it,
Right.
grandma can do it, but I can't do it because
Right.
I haven't shown myself, I haven't proven that I can do
Right.
that. And that's that sort of codependency that can even show up in relationships, where we're trying to overdo for everyone else and protect their feelings and say it in a way that
Yes.
they won't get ruffled or whatever, but then we never speak what's true for us.
And I think that's so interesting that you're saying that because that has been one thing that I've learned. And I'm glad you said it because I'm trying to glean what I've learned from this experience. And
Mm,
I had one of my really good friends say it this way. She goes, "Well, I kind of like this. I think this diagnosis has made you a little snippy snappy
mm,
because I'm just going to tell you,
yeah,
like people can do the strangest things. People that you love can tell you about a friend who died from it. And you're like,
huh,
what?
not
And I
helpful.
just say, "What? I don't wanna hear that." Like, at what point is that helpful to me?
That's not
It's not.
helpful.
No,
Yeah,
not helpful at all.
yeah,
Even though the circumstances were different. Like, I know all of that, but still, it's like, that's not what I really wanna focus on right now, but it's very
mhm,
interesting.
mhm,
And so that's one gift that
mhm,
I've gotten from going through this to be real with that. And so I'm, looking at the time, and of course it went super fast with you. But I think we have like some really key pieces that can help people in their lives. And the first one is just freaking love.
Just love.
Feel for yourself.
Yeah,
Feel that
do
joy
it
of
selfishly because you want
yep,
to feel that energy of love, and my friends, even if you're struggling in your marriage, you can go out today and feel that energy of love. Go
yep.
find a puppy, go out
Yes,
in nature, go find a child, like, go find
smile
things
at
that
the
are
grocery
easy.
store clerk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go find things, people, whatever that are easy to love, and you can be in that energy of love today.
Yep.
You could do it today. You don't have to wait for your husband to stand on his head and do the 28 things that you think he should
Yeah.
do in order to receive your love. You can
Yep.
just get in that energy and start where it's easy.
Yep. Okay. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing is to just get over your ego, which I learned from
Mhm,
you, and say what you really feel
mhm.
and what you need.
Yeah,
And part of that is figuring out yourself. That's going to be so healing.
yes,
Oh, I'm feeling this way. Sometimes we just think we shouldn't feel that way. So we try to jump through it. So I think like those two things can change your life
yes.
greatly. And they're not that hard.
They're not that hard.
No.
And isn't it funny that, like, we didn't get training in this.
Mm-mm.
What we got was what we saw growing up in terms of, like, how our parents, related in their marriage, and we learned that that's normal. So whether
Yep.
that's good or bad and what you want or what you don't want, that's what we normalized. And then we also learned that love means, like, you're gonna make things better, and you're gonna anticipate my needs, and you're gonna read my heart, you're gonna read my
Yeah.
mind. I'm not gonna have to say the truth. I'm not gonna have to tell
Right.
you the truth. You're gonna just know, and that's when I really feel understood by you. And it's
Mhm.
like, we've gotta get better at just being more open,
Yeah.
expressing ourselves, how we're feeling, and what we need. And you know what? If you have trouble with that, think about it through the lens of people who love me want to know the real me. But if
Yes.
I never express my true feelings and I pretend to be the woman that has no needs, like, I'm here for you, whatever you need,
Yes.
then do the people that love me ever really know who I am?
Mm-mm. Oh, honey, I could talk to you for hours. That was my life. That
Mhm.
was my life,
Yeah, and so
for
now,
many years.
for better or
Yeah.
worse, they're gonna know
Mhm.
more. They're gonna know a deeper Lisa,
Yep.
and isn't that
Amen.
beautiful?
It's so beautiful. And this is such a gift, and I'm so glad that you were here, Sharon. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And listeners, go find her. We'll have all your information in the show notes, but Instagram, TikTok, I mean,
All the
your
things.
books, all the good things. So thank you. I appreciate you and
I
this time.
appreciate I appreciate you, and thank you for having me on here, and I just send you so much love. I'm just
Thank
loving
you.
you right now.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate it. I feel it. Take good care.
You too, honey.
Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Saddle Up Live. As we conclude this exhilarating journey together, don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, and become a valued member of our vibrant community. Because, as always, every woman deserves to thrive, flourish, and live her best life. Until the next time, saddle up and keep conquering those trails.